We welcome you to this meeting tonight to announce revisions in the Meeting House Custodian Program. The first speaker will be President Thomas S. Monson, second counselor in the First Presidency.
It was the prophet Daniel who foretold of the establishment of God's kingdom on earth at a time when it would roll forth like a stone cut out of a mountain and fill the whole earth. We rejoice that in our day God has established such a kingdom and that its growth is indeed worldwide. The church is growing in strength as well as in numbers, and as it continues to increase, there will be a constant need for physical facilities to aid in the perfection of the saints, the preaching of the gospel, and the redeeming of the dead. We have been blessed through the years with the resources needed to construct meeting houses to match the population growth of the church, and for this we are most grateful. But as the saints use these buildings throughout the world, the buildings need to be maintained and refurbished so that their appearance always matches the dignity and the beauty of the truths taught therein. Such maintenance requires sizable investments of the sacred funds of the church, and the management of these funds is a special duty of those called at ward and stake levels to oversee our buildings. Through the years, the church has been able to employ many capable custodians who have dedicated their careers to building maintenance and the service of the saints. Every effort has been made to provide these custodians with modern equipment and supplies. Training programs have also been carried out to make them effective and efficient in their labors. Appropriate salary levels and fringe benefits have been provided to help retain capable, professional people. As we've developed this large group of qualified, full-time custodians, we have not been unmindful of past practices where members themselves assisted in the care and maintenance of their church facilities. However, it seemed prudent to leave the bulk of the work to those professionals who could handle the technical and challenging aspects of modern building maintenance. Over the years, the involvement of members in caring for buildings has dwindled, and the expenditures for professional services have greatly increased. With this in mind, I was asked some time ago to head a committee at church headquarters to study what could be done to maximize the use of church funds in building maintenance and at the same time assure effective, efficient building services. Careful, prayerful study was given to this special assignment, and in due time, a report was given to the First Presidency and the Council of the 12, which has now been adopted. The purpose of this presentation is to begin implementing the new maintenance program, which will not only help custodians be more effective in their labors, but will also bring back the involvement of the church members in this important effort. Membership involvement will surely build a sense of pride in our meeting houses and help in their upkeep by all who use them. As you are given the details of this new plan, you will quickly understand that even though we are striving to make the best of church funds in building maintenance, there is still a need for those capable custodians who desire to work. They will find many benefits from what is being proposed. The concepts of this new program will now be explained to you. Please pay close attention to these instructions because you will be asked to explain this new plan to those with whom you work in the stakes and wards of the church. Additional information you might need is available from physical facilities representatives who stand ready to assist you in every way possible. It is the desire of the First Presidency and Council of the 12 that these new plans be implemented in a positive way. Please help all those with whom you work to understand the blessings and benefits which will accrue to everyone through these improved methods. We are especially desirous that church members come to understand the blessings available to them in both using and helping maintain church buildings. May God bless you in your efforts to build and strengthen the kingdom, is my humble prayer for you. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
President Monson has introduced what will be a very significant change in the way we care for our buildings. The time is right for this change to be made. I appreciate the work of his committee. We have also enjoyed tremendous support and encouragement from the presiding bishopric. I'm grateful to them for their efforts and their help in preparing what would be given to you today. So there's no misunderstanding. We're very complimentary of the appearance of our meeting houses and the fine services performed by our dedicated custodians. As general authorities travel about the church, we generally find buildings are well cared for, and we see evidence of the concern and care given to them. It is also appropriate that we constantly find better ways to accomplish what is needed, especially as we see a significant increase in the funds required for our maintenance work. We welcome this opportunity from the First Presidency and the Council of the 12th to pilot the modified approach to meeting house maintenance. So, as we present this program to you, we enlist your support and cooperation in this important and significant assignment. There are currently in our area, excluding Hawaii, which is not a part of the pilot, approximately 138 stakes. At last count, 484 meeting houses serviced by 820 custodians. As you can see, a considerable amount of funding is required for custodial expenses each year. Most buildings receive excellent care, but our goal is for every one to be at a maintenance level appropriate for the sacred edifices which they are. A major concern is the rate of increase in these expenditures. There has been a 173% increase in these costs since 1978, and a projected continuation of that trend to even more overwhelming costs in the near future. It is vital that we find ways to reduce the rate of increase. It may help to understand some of the driving forces affecting that increase. Of course, we're pleased with the growth we enjoy. However, many may not realize that after every building is completed, the cost of operating and maintaining it for 50 years is 2.5 times the original construction cost. Custodial salaries are much more realistic now than they were a few years ago. Currently, full-time salaried custodians and their families also enjoy very fine insurance, retirement, and savings plans. These programs, along with annual inflation, play their part in the increasing costs of this work. By way of further introduction, let's also review other aspects of our present program. For the most part, each custodian is assigned to one meeting house and allowed to work at his or her own pace. Supervision is minimal. We may have a very talented person with electrical or plumbing experience in one building and an equally talented landscape specialist or carpenter at another building. Those talents are seldom shared between buildings. We also provide a full complement of equipment for each building. What we will present is a way to use our personnel and equipment in a more effective way. Overall objectives: reduced maintenance, costs, more effective management, and supervision of the custodial staff, increased member involvement, improved meeting house care. Those changes that will be introduced today may have some effect on the present custodial staff. In this respect, we ask you priesthood leaders to be sensitive to each situation. Please be very considerate of any persons who may be unable for any reason to meet the requirements of this new program. We will allow a fair time period for them to make adjustments in their employment arrangements. President Monson has also indicated that there will be more involvement from the membership in caring for the buildings. We're not asking them to do work for which they're not trained or to make heavy demands on their time, but they can make a very significant contribution toward caring for the buildings they use, and all will benefit from that involvement. Before we move into the details of the change, let me say how much we have appreciated the fine service given by the stake facilities, physical facilities representatives. This has become a very important role, and they have spent many hours in helping their stake president with his assignment for physical facilities. They will continue to be a vital part of the work, but there should be some eventual relief in their responsibilities, which they will probably welcome. We emphasize that our area administrative office staff is most anxious to be of help. The Meeting House Custodian program is administered under our direction by the Area Physical Facilities staff. The Area Physical Facilities manager is Paul Markling. Specifically, the custodian program is managed by Lloyd Gustavson. He will be assisted by the field representative and others, including a personnel specialist who will be available. Any questions on proper personnel custodial management should be certainly coordinated with that specialist. I should now like to introduce Lloyd Gustavson, who will present more detailed instructions for you.
Thank you, Elder Carmack. We in the area office welcome this assignment. I am personally pleased to be a part of this program. I, too, have a love for California and for the people there and the members of the church and the leaders. And I'm looking forward to working very closely with the states during the next several months. I have in the studio with me Earl Monson and Quentin White from the Physical Facilities Department, who will assist with this presentation. Before we talk about the details of the new program, let's take a quick review of what we're doing currently. As you know, the stake president is responsible and calls a high counselor as physical facilities representative to assist him. Now, the PFR supervises the program, aided by a foreman in some stakes. Not all stakes have foremen. We wish they did. As a result of this, of course, we have observed a wide variety of procedures and management styles and practices. As Elder Carmack has said, for the most part, custodians are assigned to specific buildings, and membership involvement in the program is very small. Over the years, however, the program has produced a lot of good results, but now is the time for change. While we sometimes refer to this as a new program, it's really a revision of an existing one, not a totally different approach. However, you should know that a few selected stakes have been chosen to function on a multi-stake basis, and we felt that you should know this. In this program, it's not a totally revised program, but the stake president is still involved, he still is in charge, and he's assisted by a capable PFR. We'll also continue to work on an individual stake basis. We will hire and supervise and train our own custodians. But we will implement procedures which will enable them to work as effectively and as efficiently as possible. A new document has been prepared to assist you in making this transition. 2 copies of this document have been sent to you, and you should receive your copy within the next day or so. The changes required to accomplish the objectives given by Elder Carmack may be somewhat dramatic, but we want you to know that a fair amount of time will be allowed for those changes to be made. You also should know that we're relying upon the results of some very extensive studies by professionals in this work and input from actual meeting house custodians and PFRs. And this will help us to feel confident that the changes being made are practical and will give the desired results. The key action in this revised program is for each stake to assure that it has a qualified, responsible foreman custodian. And he will provide professionalism to our program through improved supervision, management, better accountability for more consistent training, and the wise scheduling of the work. This item is discussed first, since it is the most important step to be taken. Each stake should employ or appoint a foreman custodian based on needed skills, not longevity of service or other considerations. This person must also be a responsible individual and be accountable for the overall effectiveness of the program and be able to effectively train the other custodians and to successfully plan their work. Yes, Brother Monson.
Lloyd, what if we already have a foreman custodian? Are you saying we must employ another one?
No, not necessarily. we recognize that many stakes do have a fine foreman who could be trained into this position. Our emphasis here is on examining each stake situation to determine if the foreman is qualified and responsible. Stakes will need to determine on an individual basis their personnel situation with the help of our field representative. You might be interested to know that in the guideline there is a procedure for selecting a foreman custodian. Also under this new program, which is a departure from the last, all custodians within each stake are to be organized as a total team and will work under the direction of the foreman. Now, we recognize that each stake is, of course, different, and the team concept will have to be customized, taking into account those unique situations. However, we wish to make it clear that the foreman is still in charge and will need to be thoroughly familiar with all buildings and visit them regularly. There should be a variety of talents on the team so that most maintenance problems encountered can be corrected through the skills of one or more of the team members. While most custodians will be full-time employees, there will also be some need for part-time seasonal help, which will be determined also on an individual basis. The key success factor will be the building of team support where custodians are working together. It is the intent of this program, so far as possible, for the custodians to work together in groups of 2 or more and to work in all buildings within the stake in that manner. The implementation document gives this also. Now, in order to be able to work together in teams, it will be necessary to establish and follow a definite schedule of working hours. All custodians will work the same hours under the foreman's supervision. That is, all full-time salaried employees. Part-time employees may have another schedule. A standardized time card, along with the performance appraisal procedure, will be used in all stakes. Within the assigned hours, the custodian's work and place of work will be determined by the foreman. And then we must conform strictly to current labor laws. Yes, Quentin.
Lloyd, if these teams are to move from building to building, is there a method of compensating them for their travel expense?
Yes, the document also outlines a procedure for that. Also, the new time card just mentioned has a place to record the daily miles. However, we expect that with proper planning that travel should be kept to a minimum. Yes.
Is the time card different from the one shown in the PFR manual that we have now?
Yes, it is different, although it is similar. It has been modified to accommodate this program.
Is the time card designed for biweekly pay periods, and must we use that system?
Yes, to both questions, and there are very good reasons for that.
Lloyd, what schedule of working hours does this program call for?
Well, the document that we're talking about suggests an 8-hour period, 5 days a week. Now, the state may be flexible on that. They could begin say, from 7 or 8 a.m. and go through a full 8 hours, considering also another half hour for lunch. And then their weekday could begin Monday through Friday, or it could extend Tuesday through Saturday, whichever the state would prefer. Now, the establishing of custodial hours, the procedure for doing that we have presently using and are currently shown on the custodial printout, the PF42. The new PFRs will know what I'm talking about. They were developed many years ago when the building had little carpeting, meager equipment, and before any organized training program was available. New, reduced, authorized hours, which have been developed for each stake, will be sent or brought to you. And we want you to understand that they are based on professional standards of how long the job should take by a well-trained team working together with modern equipment and supplies and by following efficient working procedures. It should be understood that custodians will no longer be in the buildings all day nor in the evening, and consequently many services formerly provided by or expected of the custodial staff will no longer be available. Nor will custodians be on call beyond normal working hours. Every building will be thoroughly cleaned each week, once after the heavy Sunday usage and again after weekday usage in preparation for the coming Sunday. Teams will also perform minor repairs and routine preventive maintenance procedures while they're in the building or as specifically scheduled. And between cleanings and on weekends, church members will have more involvement than at present. And brethren, it will be vital for all teams to be well trained and supervised in their assignment so they can do the job with expected results in the time allotted. In some cases, it may be economical, we will find, to share equipment and transport it from building to building. This will be considered again on a stake-by-stake basis. Training programs can be simplified as we narrow down the types of equipment and supplies purchased in the stake. And of course, we do have an excellent purchasing arrangement through the buying guide. This will allow us to make better use of discounts from quantity purchasing. As you know, the area presidency has already requested that we obtain our cleaning chemicals through the church buying guide to effect cost savings. And we have standardized on one particular type in this area. And this was discussed with your custodians as we met with them last December. Also, a very important aspect of this program, of course, is the involvement of members. Members, of course, will not be asked to make repairs or to provide work for which they're not properly trained. However, we do know that in many wards there are people who are skilled in one capacity or another who could make some necessary repairs on a volunteer basis. We will continue to have ample opportunity also for welfare recipients to make significant contributions in the care of buildings on a volunteer basis and as they may be assigned by their priesthood leaders, the bishop, and working through the foreman custodian. Families working together in a building may also receive many benefits, especially as they gain an appreciation for what is involved in its care. And of course, an important aspect of member involvement is attitude and personal concern, and yes, pride in the meeting houses. When members are trained to use the buildings with care and respect, we have found that many custodial problems do not even develop. In the document that you will receive is a listing of responsibilities its members will be expected to assume. Now, here we have listed some of them. For example, if activities are held in the evenings or on Saturdays or Saturday evening, members will be asked to clean up afterwards so the building is ready for the next person using them or ready for Sunday meetings following Sunday. Custodians will not work all day and then come back to lock up the building or work evenings just so they can secure the building when they leave. Security will continue to be the responsibility of local members under the direction of the stake presidents and agent bishops, but with added emphasis on their involvement and their need to be involved. Special concern must be given to this new security responsibility so that buildings are not left open when unoccupied at any time. Now, each stake will need to implement a plan to accomplish this.
Lloyd, who will supervise member involvement?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Of course, we understand that the stake president is always responsible for all programs in the stake, and he will and should organize the leadership to assure that there is a way of doing this for each building. Normally, the leaders of an event or activity should be expected to make certain that the parts of the building or grounds used are restored following their usage. Another thing he could do would be to publish a stake facilities use guide similar to this one, which has been produced in this area. We commend the stakes that they may wish to consider this, and there's a sample guide in the PFR handbook. I believe it's Exhibit 61. The PFRs will know that. Now let's briefly summarize what we've just talked about. The first thing and the most important thing we've discussed, and that is that we need to appoint a qualified foreman. We need to form our custodial staff into responsible teams. We need to adjust to new authorized hours. And then we need to schedule the custodians on definite full 8-hour working days, 5 days a week. Certainly we should be able to maximize the use of equipment and supplies and then give our members opportunity to be involved in an effective manner. The intent is not only to maintain or improve the buildings the way they are, but we do also have some expected results. And these are they. We hope to have some very cost savings, and we think this will be done by utilizing the custodians in the reduced hours in a very cost-effective way. And major result will be the strict compliance of proper employment practices and labor laws. Now, these changes should help us to become better managers of this program, wherein the economy and accountability are more important than they have previously been. Now, here's where you come in on the implementation. We're fulfilling number 1 today. Now, it's important also that bishops and custodians and members all be informed of this program and to understand the intent of these changes and what their individual roles will be. Now, our plan for giving follow-up detailed training and responding to your questions is to meet with you personally in a series of meetings during the first part of May. The guideline document that you will receive will have a cover letter, and that letter will give a listing of where and when those meetings will be, and you are all invited under the invitation of the area presidency. After you have received that training, then you will be prepared to implement the program. Now, we recommend that you not make any changes in your custodial staff until after that time. However, you may have some leave through normal attrition. If they do, simply do not replace them. On the other hand, it may be necessary in the process of these early stages to exceed the new hours temporarily to employ the right foreman. That will be authorized, but it's also anticipated there will be some voluntary reductions in the staff. We have found that many custodians will not or cannot or were unwilling to meet the new schedule or its requirements. So there's no need to rush right now into decisions that will have long-range impact. Now, we cannot stress enough the need for leadership and organization to ensure the appropriate member involvement. So that we're all working on the same time schedule, we're making the following suggestions. We will bring new schedules of authorized hours and in the detailed training that we've just mentioned, and that will help to give you the information so that you can inform the bishops and the custodians further about how the transition will be made. By the end of June, each stake should have their foreman custodian employed or assigned. At the same time, a plan should be in place for involving the members in the roles they will play. Then by the end of 1986, each stake should have all of the reductions in hours of the staff through attrition. These should be then adapted to the new authorized hours for the buildings in their stake. We wish to be certain that we understand that during this time period, very careful anticipation of any personnel problems is vital. As has been stated, we will have a personnel specialist on our staff who will be available to give counsel and to help prevent or solve problems that may or could arise. Again, it is not intended that there will be any forced reduction in the custodial staff during this time period. Individual arrangements will be made with stakes that are not able to achieve the desired hours through attrition by December 31st. Now, we in the area office, myself, our office staff, and our field representatives will all be ready to assist you in this implementation.
In conclusion, we recognize some important actions are needed from each stake president. Change is never easy, and many people naturally assume that the results will be detrimental. We want to be very positive and considerate of the impact this may have on those involved. But it is important for stake presidents to understand the change and help it to happen. As we have said before, a major action will be the selection of a foreman or the reevaluation of your present foreman who can supervise the work and train others while providing capable service himself. There may be a few custodians who are unable to work with this system and will need retraining and other skills to continue their productive vocational life. The church has a program in place where their priesthood quorums should assist them in making that transition. As custodians move to a definite daytime schedule of work, it is important that the members assume the security role they will play so that buildings are not left open while they are vacant and thus subject to vandalism and theft. Thank you for meeting with us in this manner. We now look forward to meeting with you in person during the next 2 to 3 weeks for more informal, detailed discussions. Following those meetings, the field representatives will have an ongoing interface with you during the weeks and months to come. We appreciate the dedication and the direction and the counsel of the brethren. As we work together under the inspiration of the Spirit, I know we shall succeed. What you learn and accomplish will help to set the standard for the church and in all of the United States and Canada. May the Lord bless you and all associated with this pilot.
This concludes the satellite broadcast. Thank you for coming.